Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Rachel and this is Homesteading with Rachel. Today's video is really just going to be an introduction, a little bit about me and what you might expect from this channel in the future. So as I said, I'm Rachel. I love to garden and I love to cook, and food is something that I have always been interested in. I've been gardening and growing my own food for about 20 years. I grew up with a veggie garden in the backyard. My dad is a keen gardener, and my grandparents had gardens, so it was pretty normal for me to see vegetables growing in the backyard. I didn't take a keen interest in growing until I had my own children, though. But food, though, and cooking has always been a love of mine. So I have been cooking since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, standing on a little step, helping my grandmother in the kitchen, helping my mum cook, and that's just flowed through my whole life. So I have a real passion about food. Not surprising because of that. I ended up going to university and studying nutrition, and I became a dietitian and worked in that space for many, many years, like 20 years. And now, though, I've become a lot more passionate about just food in general. I mean, yes, nutrition, of course, is important, and it is something that's kind of there in the back of my mind, but I'm just really passionate about teaching people how to grow their own food if that's something that they're interested in. And, that can be just growing herbs in a pot on the windowsill or on the balcony, to having, a garden in your backyard if you're lucky enough to have one. So I really want to share that and help other people to, I guess, have that experience of what it's like to grow something from the beginning and then pick a beautiful tomato or a cucumber or some broccoli and then be able to use that in the kitchen for your meal. So I'm also very passionate about then cooking, using that produce, and then what do you actually do with it in the kitchen. Now, of course, not everything that I cook in the kitchen is something that I grow. I do still buy fruit and vegetables, and in fact, at this time of year when we're just coming to the end of winter, there's not a huge amount of produce in the garden. So, I do rely on buying fruit and veg, and that's perfectly okay as well. I want to meet people where they're at. And if that means that you haven't got a garden, or you're not ready to have a garden, or that's not something that you're interested in, maybe you're buying your fruit and veg, whether it be from a local farmer or a farmer's market or the supermarket. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. What can you do to produce beautiful home cooked food for yourself, for your family, your friends, whoever it is that you want to prepare that for? So that's really what I'm all about. I want to show you my journey, what I'm learning. I don't know everything. I'm self-taught. I'm a self-taught gardener. I'm a self-taught cook. But I have learned a lot over those years, and I do want to be able to share that with you and take you on that journey of what I'm learning, what's working, what's not working, but also to teach you the things that I have learned along the way, so that if you're interested in this kind of lifestyle, no matter where you live and what your lifestyle is. I don't think you need to live on land to homestead. Homestead is about what you do in your home, whether it be growing food, preparing food, preserving food, what you do in your home in that sense is all about homesteading. And you can do that in an apartment, you can do that in a suburban house with a suburban backyard, or on land. So what I really want to do is show you those skills that you can start wherever you happen to be. And maybe it depends on what sort of life season you're in, because sometimes we are really busy. We might have very young children and just don't have the time to grow lots of food or preserve lots of food, but maybe on a weekend you might like to start improving your skills in the kitchen, like baking something, baking bread, or learning something like that when you do have some time. So it's about finding where you're at, choosing the skills that you're interested in and you would like to try to build, and starting from there, and just work from there and see where it leads. It may be that you only stay with those few skills and you keep them going over time, or maybe you get excited and want to then start learning some other skills. So that is what this channel is going to be about. It's about breaking down those skills and I guess inspiring you to pick one and get started and to learn to either grow, cook, or preserve some food for yourself. Okay, so let's head outside and I will show you where we live. So we live in Western Victoria, Victoria being one of the southern states of Australia, and our climate is cool temperate, so our winters are quite cold. Well, cold for Australia's standard. Probably we don't get snow. It's not as cold as some other places, but gets quite cool. We do have quite severe frosts, particularly in winter, but also in autumn and spring to a certain extent. We live on 110 acres, so quite a bit of land. We haven't always lived on that much land. We've been here for about 5 or 6 years, and it's always been my dream to live on what I call a farm, but I'm not quite sure that it's actually a farm because we don't really farm animals or anything like that. We have horses. I'm not sure if you can see them in the background there. We have a few pet sheep. And we have some chickens, but that's about all at this stage. But I just love the wide open space, and I love the views of this beautiful national park that we live very close to. It's a little bit clouded by clouds today, but that mountain along there just looks absolutely beautiful, and I pinch myself every day when I come outside or I look out my window and I can see the ever-changing landscape. So yeah, that's sort of where we live, yeah, I'm excited to share a little bit more about what we're doing. I will just move over here. You can see it's a little bit sunny, but you can see my veggie garden over here. We have a greenhouse, which is fairly new for us. And I have some raised beds as well as some regular beds in the ground. But I'll do a better tour of my garden another time so that I can show you a little bit more about what I'm growing and how I grow. But our veggie garden is right next to our house, and that is very strategic. One, because I can just come straight out here to the gate from the back door. And grab some herbs or things for whatever I'm cooking. But also it's our main living area. The windows here look directly out onto the garden. So it's a constant reminder when I look out there of things I might need to do. So maybe I'll see something that has, I'm just going to move out of the sun because it's a little bit bright. Maybe there's something that needs picking, or maybe something's blown over, or something needs some kind of attention. The fact that I'm always looking out onto my garden helps me to be reminded of what I might need to go out and pay attention to. If I put it right down the back of the yard where I barely ever saw it, I know what I'm like. I'm likely to just forget about it, get busy, and not always go and check on things that I need to be checking on, even though I like to spend time in the garden and be out there as much as I can. Life gets busy and that doesn't always happen. I do work part-time outside of the home, so there are days where I don't necessarily think to go out to the garden if I'm a bit busy. But having the garden right next to my house means that I can just look out and think, oh, I'll just pop out and go and pay that attention, or go and pick that, or whatever it is that needs to be done. We live off-grid. That's another thing I forgot to mention. We have no utilities connected out here, so no power or water or anything like that. So we have an off-grid solar and battery system. We collect rainwater from our house and from our shed. And we process all of our own grey water and other waste on the property. So the only thing we do use is a little bit of bottled gas, LPG gas. We try to minimise that as much as possible because obviously you have to pay for gas and all the other things we are getting for free. But I'll talk a little bit more about that in another video and go through what how we live off grid, what that looks like, and what sort of systems we use. So I'll make that a separate video if that's something that people are interested in. But for now, I think that will be it for today's video. This is my first ever YouTube video. Been meaning to do this for quite some time, and I am just getting into it and just doing it now. So if you like this content, if you're interested in learning more homesteading skills, want to learn a little bit more about growing food, cooking food, things like that, hit the subscribe button so that you know when I upload a new video. And also let me know in the comments, what sort of homesteading skills do you already have? What would you like to learn more about? Maybe is there a skill that you'd like to, practice and become more proficient at? I'd love to hear what you're doing and what you plan to do. Please continue along with the journey. I would say that most of my videos will be some of them will be vlog style, where I just take you with me for a day or a weekend or something like that and show you what we're doing here on our property. And others might be more on specific topics or, in the kitchen, and I'll show you what I'm cooking, things like that. But certainly tell me what it is that you would like to see. What are you interested in, so that I can get to know who you are and what you might like to be watching. Okay, thanks. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.